What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of We Are One, You Are Two, a PlayStation and video game podcast. Matt, I'm not even going to call this an episode because we're going to talk a little bit about just Spider-Man. So we're just going to call this a Spider-Man impressions episode.
Ooh,
we're not even going to count it. We're not even going to count it in the chronicles of our numbered episodes.
He's not even going to introduce me, folks. He's just going to go right into it.
I am your host, Rob Fanzo, joined by Matt Rhodes. I feel like we need no introduction at this point. If you haven't listened to us before, shame on you. You've got 36 other episodes you can listen to.
Truth.
But I am, your host, and this is Matt. He's joining me as always. We're going to focus solely on Spider-Man, so no news, nothing. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that I've also been playing some stuff on my Vita, trying to get it ready for my upcoming road trip.
I'm not even going to mention about the fact that I've been playing Fortnite and Rocket League because they both have battle passes now, basically. There's a battle pass and then there's a rocket pass. We're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about any of that. So let's talk about Spider-Man real quick. So everybody's done a lot of reviews. The reviews are good. It was sitting at like an 87, I think, or something on Metacritic, right? So it's not the highest rated game of the year for PlayStation. God of War still is with a 94, if I remember correctly, or 93.
Nice. Yeah.
I expect Red Dead Redemption 2 to beat that with like a 95 or a 96 when it comes out in November. Or October,
sense,
I mean. But... And I don't want to talk about reviews. Everybody's done that. I feel like a lot of people have beaten the game already. I just saw on Twitter today they did announce that they're going to have a new game plus mode sometime in the future. For what?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I kind of actually like that idea because I don't know if you know, but in the options and everything, you can actually skip all the cutscenes. You can skip all the puzzles, right?
Oh, cool.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
You can customize the game. Not just it has a ton of customization options, so it's not just about like color blindness or anything like that. Normally, like they do, you actually in the options menu, you actually have the ability to customize if you want to skip the puzzles, if you want to skip the cinematics, if you want to. There was also some crazy ones like changing the combat somehow or something. I can't remember. Somebody went through and showed. I mean, they have like a huge list of ways you can alter the game.
The puzzles? Why wouldn't you do the puzzles?
Because some people... I actually saw somebody I interact with pretty regularly on Twitter that we've talked about on this show before. We've give a shout out to. He actually tweeted out that he's so happy he can skip the puzzles because it just bores him.
Wow.
I like them as a downtime. I need them. Like, I need that downtime because sometimes the fighting and all the swinging around is so intense that, like, I kind of don't mind going, oh, what's the chromatic scheme for this stupid thing, So... I should mention ahead of time before we get too much into this. I don't really feel like we're going to hit too many spoilers because I don't know about you, but I'm not very far into the game, main story-wise.
Right.
You and I talked about taking down a certain villain the other day by chasing.
We have, yeah.
Have you gotten farther past that?
I have. You play him again.
Yes, I got to that point too.
Okay.
And so we're...
In
the bank.
The bank, yes.
Is that where you're at?
Yeah, pretty much. I think... maybe a little bit further than that, but yeah, I pretty much do things until they open up more side stuff,
and then you go crazy with
all of the side stuff.
Yeah,
like what I was swinging around doing yesterday was like the demon fights, the demon like crimes or whatever.
Oh, right.
In each of the zones. Because I already did all the thug crimes, I already did all the landmarks, I already did, all this and that. I did all the laboratories already. Except for one, because you have to, like, progress far enough in the story to get, like, you need, like, shocker fists for, like, one of the labs. And I upgraded because you needed an upgrade for one of the other labs. So I was like, I guess I'll spend the points.
Yeah, so you and I play very differently. For people who don't know, Matt loves doing all the side quests and all that stuff and getting it out of the way, and then he'll do the main story last, which is why he never finished God of War.
Pretty much.
I will do the opposite, whereas I'll mix them in. Like, I've been doing backpacks and stuff like that every once in a while because I actually like the day and night cycle in this so much that what I'll do is I'll do a couple missions purposely at night. And then I'll do a couple during the day. And what I loved about that, did you do the bird lady? You did the bird lady side mission, right? Where you chase the pigeons?
Yes, I did.
I did that one at night. And I thought it was really cool because he's like, oh, I can't believe you're out here watching birds at night. And she's like, oh, and then she named a specific type of bird that's only out at night.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool.
Well, not to spoil the party for you, but if you do it during the day, it changes to night. So you could actually do that mission.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, well, then
I tried to do that during the day, and then have you gotten that loading screen that it changes the day?
No, I haven't gotten that.
You've never gotten that loading screen yet?
No, because I only do missions. I'll do so. Well, I mean, I get the loading missions, where it changes from day to night, but not for an actual mission other than a main mission. Like, I've never gotten that for a side quest or for a.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does that for side quests too. It's like a shot of the city, and then you can visibly see it changing the time of day.
Oh, I haven't gotten that yet.
You haven't gotten that at all?
No, I was okay. I've only done one side mission, which was hers.
It's literally a screenshot of New York City. And then it changes. Whatever time of day the mission needs to be, it'll change to that time of day.
Oh,
and
wow!
You can see it visibly transitioning. Yeah. So not to spoil you, but that's not to spoil your.
No, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's funny because I've only done one side mission, and I did it when it was in the night cycle, so I didn't see that, and so I haven't seen anything like that then. Because
there's a couple of things like even. I want to say even like maybe some of the laboratories.
Oh, okay.
It'll change.
Huh. I'll have to pay attention to that. I don't think, and that's funny because I've done some of the labs, and so the labs I've done have always corresponded with the time of day that I'm doing them. Like I've never had that issue, so that I'll be interested
I think
to come
most
across
of them
that.
are like doesn't matter, but I think there are a couple. I think there may have been like one or two that were like it switched it just a little bit.
That's kind of cool. I'll have to keep my eye out for that then.
Yeah.
So I have a list here of things that I thought we could talk about.
Yeah, sure.
And again, we've already kind of jumped around a little bit, but I thought we could talk about one of the things I've seen that has annoyed people the most. And so there may be some spoilers in here with some gameplay stuff, but again, it's not going to be huge story spoilers. So if you're worried about spoiling anything, again, most people have probably played through this by now. If you're listening to this, you probably played through this
honestly,
before.
I have maybe 35% into the game. And that's from me doing all the side missions. So, like, as far as, like, main story,
you're probably like 10%,
Yeah. As again, we've been to the bank with the very first boss. That's it.
Yeah, same here. So I thought we could talk about, maybe to start off, because I know it was one thing and actually let's stick with that since we started talking about it, was backpacks, landmarks, and other collectibles, including the crime labs. And what I wanted to talk about specifically with that, I wanted to mention this and kind of get your opinion. I will or won't. You do it all first, right? And so for you...
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I try to do as much as I can. I don't know, I like doing those things. I kind of like knocking them out of the way.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I mean, especially, like, the thug crimes or the demon crimes, it's just, I don't know. I'd rather just swing around the city and beat up demons for 2-3 hours and then focus on the story. You know what I mean?
And that's where I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I'm totally different than you. Yeah. I don't have as much gaming downtime. And so when I get an hour or a half hour, 40 minutes, I'm probably going to hit a couple of those. And then I want to try and progress the story because I want to get through it so that it's not May of next year. And I'm going, well, I missed out on Red Dead, and I missed out on Tomb Raider because I'm still swinging through the story of Spider-Man because I went through and collected all 55 backpacks. However, I think I will platinum this game, and this will be one that I make sure I get all that stuff. Because God of War, I didn't go back and do, and I kind of want to, because I know the Valkyries and all that stuff are really fantastic from what I hear. I didn't go back and do all the side stuff in God of War, and I don't do that in some games because it doesn't interest me. But for whatever reason, the photographs, I just have so much fun taking them at different angles, because I know, like, okay, I have to take a picture of that building. And so I'll do like an artsy photo for him on purpose, right? Or like the backpacks I love because he's been leaving these all over New York, what it seems like, since he started being Spider-Man. And I almost feel like it's almost like he moved and he forgot stuff every time he moved. And so I always want to go collect it for him and be like, oh yeah, remember that time you were supposed to move in with MJ? Here's that bill of rent or whatever. Or, oh, hey,
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was really kind of cool for the backpack. So just a little kind of like backstory of like what he used to do or what he used to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like little gadgets that I was like, oh, yeah, that didn't work because of this.
Yeah.
So I fixed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I love the backpacks more than any of the backpacks and the landmarks. My two favorite things to do for that reason. Like, I love the artistic photos you can take and still count. And then I also love, like I said, the backstory and, kind of like cleaning up his mess after he moves 100 times.
Yeah, exactly.
The crime labs, I've only done a couple. They're okay.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty good. I mean they're different.
They're different.
Have you done the oh gosh, which is it? It's like
I've done a lot of I'll tell you what I have done.
Okay.
I've done a lot of the pollution ones where like you swing through the clouds. That feels like I'm swinging through like time trial hoops without the clock, you know?
Right, yeah.
And then I've done a few where you had to clog up like smog.
Yeah.
And I've also done one just recently where the cars were giving off smog and I had to take pictures of the vehicles.
Pictures of cars, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
And so those are the 3 types I've done.
The one that I did that was pretty annoying. There's like some weird, like, I think it's like cell phone or some kind of digital coverage thing. And there's like these weird lines that you have that are like above and below the buildings. And they kind of like move like up and down with each other, or they kind of like, you know, grow or shrink. And you have to stay you have to swing in between the lines. Like if you go too high, you start to lose life. And it like shorts out his suit, and the same thing if you go too low.
Okay.
That was interesting, but it was kind of annoying. Because like, you know, sometimes like just the way the buildings are, like it's not low, it's not high enough for you know what I mean? Because the one thing that they've done with the web swinging is the fact that it's most of where you're shooting, it's very plausible that there's a building there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Except Central Park, which I find myself in way too often, and I'm like awkwardly like.
I feel like you're kind of like doing it on the trees.
Yeah, you are.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's one of the things that I've heard in different reviews as well, and I've certainly taken notice of that they've tried to kind of keep it that way. You know?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like, look as realistic as possible. Like, oh yeah, it's plausible that there could be something right there for him to like cling to. Yeah,
well, that's what I mean. I feel it in Central Park, because in Central Park, I feel like I'm almost always hitting the ground or really close to it, because I'm like, there's nothing to grab onto here.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
that's the one thing that's a little frustrating about the web swing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna scratch. I was gonna pitch the idea of playing Spider-Man in like a desert, but I guess I'll probably scrap that idea after this game and playing with Central Park. Yeah. So the other thing I thought we could talk about, so that's kind of all I really wanted to say about the backpacks is I love them. I love the landmarks. I don't hate, but I have like a okay feeling about the crime labs. I'm up and down about them. You know, I could do without them.
There will definitely be a couple that you hate. There's like one with like fish that was kind of annoying.
Yeah, I feel like I could do without them, but I kind of enjoy hearing Harry, since he's not in the game, hearing Harry Osborn's kind of dialogue. So, the other thing I thought we could talk about, and I know again, just this kind of random, these items and things I want to talk about more in detail rather than just like, oh, the story's amazing and the, you know, and the web swing. I wanted to talk a little bit about your favorite thing, the brutes.
Oh, good Lord.
So if you could say a few things about those.
So dumb. I hate the brutes with a fiery passion. They don't obey any of the laws of any kind of physics. But on top of that, they don't obey the laws of any of the other guys either. They are their own weird brood of quickly animated powerhouses that kill you in like 3 seconds. And I find myself doing my best to just dodge the hell out of it just so I can kill all the other guys and then do the brutes last, because I feel like the only thing I can do with the brutes is just wait for them to try to hit me and then hit O. But when I'm trying to take out 14 other guys, it's very difficult to just focus on that.
Yes. 2 brutes is like a recipe for disaster.
It is. It's terrible. I hate it. Like, you know, and you'll see it gets worse. Like, when you get to, like, the demon crimes, there's, like, the guys with shields send out this weird, like...
Oh, yeah, I've gotten to some of those demon crimes.
Have you seen, like, the ripple effect thing that they shoot out? Yeah, so, like, they'll drop that weird grenade, and then as soon as you go to pick it up, they'll shoot out a ripple effect. Ow, I just hit my hand off the desk. And they'll shoot out a ripple effect. So, like, as you're trying to swing it back at them, you get hit with the ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it's just... Super annoying.
I will say for the brutes, they're way more than annoying because I can't help it. I'm going to compare this game to Arkham at some point. I can't remember any enemy in Arkham that was that annoying.
No, I don't either.
Across all 3 games. I can't think of a single one. Because even the guys with the shock batons in Arkham, you easily could jump over them and hit them from behind. The brutes, I feel like I can do everything, and they're still going to get at least one good shot in on me. Like, I cannot get through a flawless brawl with them. And maybe I'm just a terrible gamer, but...
I don't think so, because I'm the same kind of way. And, like, I don't know. I just think that they kill you in, like 2-3 hits.
And that's on the easier difficulty. That's not even on the hard one.
You're definitely going to get some kind of hit.
Yeah. That's not even on the... I mean, I've tried... You and I both put it... Didn't we start off with the most difficult setting?
We did, yeah. And I was just like, nah, screw this. I was dying so much in the first, 10 minutes of the game. I was like, this is not fun.
No.
So I downgraded it, and it's okay. I thought about downgrading it again just because I want to enjoy the story. I want to enjoy that stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
I want to feel like a superhero that's pummeling the crap out of these bad guys, and not like this little feeble teenager. It's like, especially, you hit me in the face. You know what I mean? Like, that's I think the frustrating thing about this.
Yeah, and
Spider-Man.
I will say about the brutes too that the other thing that frustrates me about them that you mentioned is their distance and reach, but also they. I literally had a fight where I flung. You hold L1 and R1 down, you spin something around, you hit him with it.
Yeah,
I bet I hit them with 7 objects, and he still came after me, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what does it take to down you?" Because I wasn't going to try and do the dodge mechanic the whole time. So I thought I'll just flip around. Spider-Man's agile enough. I'll just smash the crap out of him with boxes and mailboxes and sewer grates and doors off of cars. And he kept coming. I was like, when are we done? Like, when? So,
yeah. Well, the problem with that is all that is to stun them. So you have to go hit them.
I know, but even some enemies, some of the regular enemies, I've noticed if you hit them with those at the right time, it will knock them down. They're done.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I like to use the bombs that the shield guys throw, because that's actually I feel like more damage than just the little dinky barrels or the newspaper containers. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
But yeah, screw the brutes. That's the
moral of the story.
Really the conclusion of the moral of the story of this.
Yeah, screw the brutes. Insomniac, we love the game. Screw the brutes. Right. So the other thing I thought we could talk about that kind of ties in with combat then, and then I have one other topic, and if there's anything you want to add to, is kind of the combat system itself, because I know it's compared to Arkham, and I know some reviewers have complained that it does nothing new for the genre. I don't need it to. I love the combat system in Arkham. I love it when it's in Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. I'm fine with that. But what I wanted to talk about was, I think this combat's more difficult than Arkham, and I couldn't put my finger on it till probably an hour ago. And I think I figured out why. It's because in Arkham, when I would hit square, Batman almost magnetically went to a criminal, even if he was at the edge of the screen.
Right.
If nobody else was standing up. And so you were Batman had what Spider-Man actually has. He, like the spider sense, he knew where the next guy was, and he would fly over. I can hit square in Spider-Man, and that's not a guarantee from what I've gauged that he will fly to the next enemy.
It's not a guarantee at all.
And so there's
100%.
I think the biggest difference between Arkham and Spider-Man, and I know they don't want to lock you in because Spider-Man is so mobile compared to Batman.
Right.
But Batman, that always guaranteed that if I hit a button, unless it was O for the cape stun, if I hit square, I was moving towards another enemy, and then I could do whatever I wanted to that enemy. Whereas
it was almost a double dodge.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you were aiming at a guy that was far enough away, the guy that was trying to hit you wasn't close enough to you to do so. Instead of having to hit the dodge or the stun button. You know what I mean? Where in this, it is very much about... I mean, I think... Maybe it's just the buttons, though. Because if you hit triangle, you're going to do the web sling right to the guy.
You will, yes.
The guy. So, but I don't know. I think there's just there's so much stuff going on between the brutes and the shielded guys and the guys with the electric rods, and then
dodging bullets. Don't forget about that.
Everyone has guns. So there's like this weird thing, like you basically can't get greedy with punching.
No, you can't. And
there's so much dodging to do that it's frustrating, I think.
Yeah, and I love the dodging, and you're right. You know, I know people would call me out on that and say, well, you know, you can just hit triangle when you launch to the next guy. And that is true, but if the next guy's far away enough and I hit triangle, all it's going to do is pull him a little bit towards me and stun him a little bit. Because I've had that happen where I hit triangle, and I'm like, I'll whip over to that guy. I hit it, and it pulls him forward a little bit, and then nothing happens. And I'm like,
That's because that means you're holding it too long. Because if you hold it, it'll pull the guy or disarm the guy. If you hold triangle, you disarm the guy if they have electric baton, but you don't disarm them if they have a gun, which does not make sense.
Well, there's an upgrade for that.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, I know you don't spend your upgrades. So just to clarify again, Matt does not spend upgrade. Matt not only does all the side quests, so he has all those tokens. Whoops, there goes my controller. But
I'm a hoarder of the tokens.
But Matt also hoards his collection points. That's why in God of War he never upgrades. So you know there is one to pull small guns, and then you have to spend another 2 points to pull large guns and rockets. Right. But I know that the triangle helps me zip around, and you're right. There is an agility with Spider-Man that forces you to do that because you've got 16 things being thrown at you at once.
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, oddly enough to me, Batman feels way more powerful than Spider-Man because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the other thing, too, that's frustrating is you can web zip to the guy and with triangle, but if he's a gunned guy, but if he's far enough away, by the time you get there, he's shooting you.
Yeah.
His white line turns red, and he's hit you because it's not quick enough.
Yeah, that is true. I have had it a couple of times where I haven't it went from white to red, and I got actually that happened to me when I was chasing. So slight spoilers here. I think I was chasing. It might have been Shocker through the city, and don't you have to dodge something? He shoots back at you at one point.
I believe so. Yeah.
And I hit triangle to tackle him, and as I'm zooming in, his line went from white to red, and it blasted me back. And I was like, well, I kind of had already committed by hitting triangle. I couldn't dodge that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's frustrating about it.
Now,
here's a question for you. Have you had issues with the extra objectives?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Have you noticed them, at least? Do you know what I'm talking about? That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So for all like the thug crimes and the demon crimes.
Yes, all those these will earn you extra tokens.
The Fisk construction areas. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't had problems with them.
I don't know if this is... Okay, I don't know if this is me and it's glitched, or if this is just how the game is set up. But once I do them, if they repeat on a different like thug crime or a different demon crime, it doesn't give me points for it. It shows it as having already been done, and then I don't get an extra token for it. Oh,
I don't know. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, pay attention to that and see if that's a thing for you, or if that's just a random glitch that maybe like Insomniac didn't notice or whatever. But like, because it'll come up on every crime. There's extra objectives on every single one of them, but it doesn't reset for me.
I'll have to look into that. I didn't.
So like if it's
didn't notice that.
Like web fling 3 objects at a guy. If I've done that like 2 crimes ago, it's still check marked off, and I don't get an extra token for it.
I'll have to check that out.
Maybe it has to do with the fact that I do them all in succession, but still.
I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. That's really interesting. Actually, I haven't had that issue that I can think of.
So I don't know if it's just like a cap that they have on the tokens. You know what I mean? Like these are like, it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, well these are like the 7 extra objectives we're gonna have for the thug crimes, and those are the 7 extra tokens you're gonna get no matter what. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's all you can get.
Yeah.
Or if it's supposed to be, or if you're supposed to be able to get 3 every single time.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I know I've spent a lot of times watching for those and looking for those, and I hate that I have to bring up my map sometimes. I mean, okay, so here's the other thing I should clarify. I don't hate Spider-Man. I love this game. But these are just the little things that I've noticed that people might be griping about. And I feel like everybody's talked so positively about it, and they've mentioned some of the negatives. I don't mean to harp on anything. These are just things that stuck out to me. But yeah, I have noticed. I just hate not being able to pull it up. I wish it would pop up when I begin the encounter and kind of like stay in the corner, in like the top left corner, just not obtrusive, like not so it's all over the screen, but top left corner. Put just the two small extra things in the corner while I'm in that area, and check them off.
You mean the extra objectives?
Yeah, and check them off as I do them.
You know you can do that, right?
No, is that a setting?
Well, it's not exactly setting. You can hit hit R3 and you can remind yourself. It'll pop up again.
Yeah, because I want to do that when I'm dodging thugs, gunfire, brutes.
I know it's annoying, but you can. You know what I mean? Every time. Well, see, the thing with me is there was one time that I think that it didn't recognize that I was at a Fisk construction site, and I knew what the objectives were, and I did like 3 silent takedowns before it like registered that I was there, and that was one of the objectives. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So like basically had to die
sucks.
for it to reset.
That sucks.
Yeah, I was just like, how did you not, like, it's like it didn't know I was there. I was like, what the hell? Now I literally just had to, like, wait for the guys to kill me so it would reset and I could get it done. But yeah, if you tap R3, that's what helps remind me. Well, that's what helps remind you in the game in general, but, every once in a while when I'm, like, far enough away, I'll tap R3.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't realize that.
But yeah. Yeah, use that and also check, like I said, check out the things like with the thug crimes and the demon crimes to see if they are like that. Because I'll hit R3 as soon as I get into one of those crimes, and they will already have been checked off.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
What the hell?
The last thing I thought we could talk about would be city populace, because a lot of people have complained that the city's not populated enough for them.
What?
And I know that I've seen that complaint several times.
Has anyone run on the ground? Because it's very frustrating.
No, I have. I don't know what they want. I don't know if they expect because it's New York that it should be shoulder to shoulder. But I have read several times.
Even New York City is not like that. I was just in New York City a month ago. It's not shoulder to shoulder, even in Times Square.
Yeah, I've read some people were like, oh, well, it's just not, there's just not enough going on the ground for you to stop and take notice.
Get out of here.
And so that's the one positive thing I wanted to I mean, there's lots of positives, but I know we've been harping on some things. Oh, well, we talked about the backpacks being positive and the crime labs. Yeah. I love the populace. I think it's just perfect. I think there's just enough cars, just enough people.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what people are talking about. Maybe I'm not paying attention when I'm web swinging enough, but when I get on the ground, I feel it crowded, and it's annoying. Like I was trying to run after someone. I'm like, dude, get out of my way. I'm trying to chase down something. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And it, like, forces you to, like, web swing. Yeah,
and I agree. I haven't noticed anything that irritated me or that I was like, what are they, like, why is there not, 6 million people on the ground? I feel like it's just perfect. Like, it's just the right amount. It feels alive. I guess that's what their complaint was.
What, do you want your frame rate to drop?
They felt like the city wasn't alive enough, and I was like, I don't know about that. Like, it feels alive to me.
That's because you're above the city. Like, you're not part of the city.
Maybe they need more helicopters.
Spider-Man. Oh well, believe me, there'll be a crime lab one where you have to swing with helicopters, and it's really annoying.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I did notice. One time I was trying to, because I love the photo mode. Don't even get me started on the photo mode. I haven't delved enough into it to care. Oh, the photo mode.
I've tried it like once. I'm just like, all right.
The photo mode. I have some fantastic shots from photo mode. The thing that I noticed though in doing photo mode is a couple times I'll point it at the sky.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of like planes flying overhead, birds, helicopters, and so I'm like, well, if you feel like the sky's not populated enough, maybe you're not looking up enough, because that's definitely.
Yeah, dude. One of the first photos I took was a very 9/11-esque photo, because it looked like I just happened to look up, and there was a plane that looked like it was going to go into the side of the building. So I was like, oh, I got to pause this and see and take a photo of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of like helicopters and airplanes flying around there for sure.
Yeah, so the city to me is populated enough, so whatever.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a crime lab. Well, the one I was complaining about with like the with like the weird like digital like moving digital zone or whatever. I think you have to like swing from helicopter to helicopter on that one or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like that's the easiest way to do it.
So.
Oh, have you seen some of the animations when you're web swinging?
Yes, I love them. I want to mention that too. I
didn't realize like how to activate them for the longest time, but then I finally hit one of those construction tubes, and I was like, that's sweet.
Yeah,
Have you finally gotten one of those?
Yeah,
like in the trailer. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh no, I remember it.
Yeah. Well, they do. He does them on. He does weird things on fire escapes too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I have noticed that too because I've run into a few of those by accident.
Yeah, if you can like zoom in between the building and the fire escape, he'll like kind of shoot through those in a weird way.
Yeah, it's been the web swinging is fantastic, and I don't feel the need to beat that down because everybody talks about how fantastic that is, but it is. Yeah. It's just great.
It is.
And the photo mode, dude, you need to dive into because I just sent you another photo that I took of the game while I was playing the game. It is just I've seen some artistic looking photos where I'm like, whether that's a PS4 or PS4 Pro, that looks more like a painted or a real photograph. It is disgusting. And I know that was the challenge on the PS blog this past week to send in those photos. I cannot wait to see the winners because
oh my gosh, I bet.
I can only imagine how fantastic they're going to look.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So that was my list. Was there anything? I mean, we've kind of hit some of the stuff I'm sure that you wanted to talk about too. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, pretty much it. I will say, like like you were saying about the backpacks. I will say, just the collectibles in general have been relatively pleasing, in that they haven't felt super tedious. I know that I've seen some reviews where it's like, well, there's not a lot. The game's not very long. There's only I think there's only a total of like 350 some. I want to say 358 total collectibles, which is super manageable, obviously. That should only take you so many hours to do. Mm-hmm. But I think that's good, though. I like that. And I feel like they've mixed it up enough. They've spent the money on making sure the buildings look like the buildings, which in New York City I think is key.
Yeah.
And Marvel has made sure that they're integrating the entire universe as seen through the multiple Marvel buildings that are in that city.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think overall they've done a really good job with it, and I'm not surprised at how well it's doing already because it's already broken a record in the UK.
Yes, it's the fastest selling game. Fastest selling game period other than Arkham, believe it or not. It outsold God of War already in terms of the speed at which it's sold. I expect it to be one of the top selling games of the year, even as a PlayStation exclusive, because of the Marvel appeal and because it's good, because it's so good. Yeah. And so I don't want to take away from a bunch of negatives from our conversation, but it really is fantastic. Those are just small things that we were nitpicking, and not all of them were nitpicks, of course. But I will say that every time I died in the game in the beginning, and Wilson Fisk kept telling me you'll just never learn, I was starting to think to myself, you're absolutely right, because I was pressing triangle to dodge, because after 3 Arkham games, triangle is ingrained to me to dodge. And so, to counter, I should say. Right? And so when you press O in this game to counter or to dodge, I couldn't do it. Like, I died to Wilson Fisk a million times because I'd press triangle and I'd be like, oh shoot, I launched myself right into him punching me instead of so well, if that's all you've got, that's all I've got.
That's it, Fort Pitt.
This is, again, not a review. If you like what you hear, you can head over to patreon.com. We are one, you are two. You can find us on podbean.com. We are one, you are two. We have a Patreon page over there as well. Donate help us get some support, help us get some attention. We're going to try and do this, I think, with some of the big fall games where we just play them for a few days because we aren't considered full-on press yet, where we play them after it's come out, and rather than review them, we'll just talk about our impressions of them and kind of pick out some of the positive and the negatives, because everybody's done their review now, but now that everybody's playing it, I almost wish I had, and this is why I want to do this, I wish I had somebody that I could sit down, I obviously have you, but I wish I had somebody that I could sit down and listen to and say, I wonder what other people think of this. I know the reviewers don't want to spoil anything, but now that the average person's getting their hand on it, because none of the reviews complained about the brutes that I read, but I see it all over Twitter about F the brutes,
Yeah, exactly.
And so I want to see what the layman person thinks, like us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a special podcast episode. Matt, once again, thanks for joining me. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see you. I'll see you again for another podcast.
As long as he outlives this hurricane.
Yeah. I am recording this a few days before Florence, and so I'm gonna try and get it out before Florence. But if she floods me, at least you'll know what I thought about Spider-Man. I'll make sure I get that out. So.
Save the PS4. That's all that matters.
I know. Oh, believe me, it would be.
Well, and the mic and the laptop, because we still got to record.
Yeah. I'll have one under one arm and one under the other.
Exactly.
But thanks for listening, guys, and until next time, game on.
Game on. This is the outro music. It's slow and sweeping like the web swinging in New York.
Classy.
I gotta say, though, that web swinging music is pretty awesome.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I know. All right.